right, guys. This is a little recording. I'm going to give you guys some nuggets here. And this has everything to do with the coronavirus. Knowing what I know, in that one of the main genes that controls the entire innate immune system is involved with transporting mannose, dihydroascorbic acid, and fucoidian. It's called GLUT3. I decided to plug this gene, SLC2A3, into the path cards. Now, stay with me here because this is going to get freaking nuts. Okay. So we know that the coronavirus is starving the lungs of oxygen. We know that it's already been proven. And so when I typed in SLC2A3 into the path cards, which I've never done before, what's the first thing that pops up? It's called photodynamic therapy induced HIF, which stands for hypoxia inducible factor survival signaling. Now stay with me here, because I've just been combing through this stuff for the last hour. I woke up. This is where the Lord led me to research. Okay. So that's the red node, SLC2A3. Now, what is hypoxia inducible factor? It has everything to do with oxygen. Everything. In fact, this guy got a Nobel Peace Prize last year for his work. HIF Nobel Prize Physiology Medicine 2019. Okay. And so, yes, there's a gene for hypoxia inducible factor. We're not going to look at that. You can, but just know it has everything to do with oxygenation of the cell. Okay. I would implore you to look that up. And so I thought to myself, is there proof? Is there evidence? Because I was asked this the other day by a friend of mine, Alex, who tagged me in a post that a woman was talking about how the number one thing you can do to combat the coronavirus is oxygen. And I didn't know, so I didn't comment. Well, now I know. And so now I know that SLC2A3, which transports mannose, fucoidian, and basically vitamin C, dihydroascorbic acid, controls hypoxia inducible factor, which regulates the amount of oxygen in your body, specifically your lungs. So this was a huge nugget for me to find out this morning. Absolutely mind-blowing. Just huge nugget. So then what I did was I cross-referenced oxygen and coronavirus. Yeah, let me just show you how I did this. Just to find evidence, oxygen and coronavirus. First link that pops up 7 days ago. Coronavirus causes respiratory illness, so the lungs are used. This makes it difficult for the lungs to transfer oxygen. Yeah. So in this report, they go on. They talk about symptoms and so on and so forth, and they mention, where is it at here? Let me see if I can find it again for you. Let's see here. They mention ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. Let's see, where was it? Acute respiratory, there it is, our word. Anyhow, ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome. So I plugged that into the mallet cards, just as I have taught you guys. Okay? Acute respiratory distress syndrome. That's what they're saying 7 days ago. What happens after you contract the coronavirus? So now that we have a medical term, we can plug that into the mallet cards. which is exactly what I did. Okay, and then obviously down here, first thing I did, as I taught you, is to go look through the drugs and compounds for acute respiratory distress syndrome. And they're going to list some stuff. And it says cysteine, zinc, what else? Glycine, liver extracts, evening primrose. Okay, so there's stuff there that you can actually take right now. Okay, but more importantly, I wanted to look at the gene CXCL8. So I clicked on that link, as I've taught you, and it talks about how it's a major mediator of inflammatory response by guiding neutrophils to the site of infection. And this gene's believed to play a role in the pathogenesis of bronchitis, respiratory tract disease caused by viral infection. Now stay with me, because this gets weird. Okay, watch how I did this. Oh my gosh. All right. So I did red light turned to green on this gene. Okay. Let me show you how I did this. Now, when you've been doing this as long as I have, you start to find references to ancient Mesopotamia. Enki, Enlil, these gods who supposedly created us. Okay, this stuff gets weird. Now, I'm a believer. I love God, I love Christ, all these things, but you cannot deny the fact that there are putting this information in the gene cards. You cannot dismiss these types of things. Okay, I'm just going to leave that right there, and I'm going to show you how I found this. So they're giving us VEGF antagonists, okay, vascular endothelial growth factor, because what does that have to do with? The blood, capillaries, things like that within the lung. Okay, so we have one thing that we can employ in addition to the compounds that they listed for adult respiratory distress syndrome here. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there. You can look that up, literally. But when we plug in the interactive DNA string network, CCL2 is the gene. So I looked it up. Red light, turn to green. You guys, this information is so powerful. Watch this. So what does this gene do, right? Neutrophils, again, as mentioned, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, atherosclerosis, basically heart disease. That's all fine and dandy, right? May be involved in recruitment of monocytes into the arterial wall during disease process. So it has to do with vascular endothelial growth factor, in that the blood is not working in such a way to carry the oxygen into the lung, and then literally because of the calcium mobilization, it's basically puncturing the cell, the arteries and things of that nature, and leads to basically the hemorrhaging of the lung in this case, right? So that's how that kind of works. This gene plays into that in that way. Now, stay with me. So again, we can scroll down here and we can look at the phenotypes. Yeah, we're going to skip that for a second. PEDF signaling. Again, major hotspot, right? The listening compounds. They've got a few listed here, 8. One of which is chondroitin sulfate. okay? Chondroitin sulfate. So now we know that because of this SLC2A3 and how it impacts hypoxia-inducible factor, which is oxygen, we know that we need mannose here, fucose, which is basically brown seaweed, or fucoidian, or bladderwrack, and vitamin C, okay? The ascorbate. Ascorbate, see that? Vitamin C. Okay, this compound's called DHA. Don't confuse it with, it's basically another form of vitamin C, okay? So we know that we need those three compounds. Stay with me. We could employ different compounds listed for adult respiratory distress syndrome. So there's 3 or 4 more compounds there that you can take. Okay. And I believe down here it mentioned vitamin A, vitamin C on the first gene, CXCL8. So there's an additional compound, vitamin A. Okay. Stay with me. I'm showing you how to beat this. If it's true that, so let me break it down to you. If it's true that this coronavirus is causing acute adult respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS, which is starving oxygen in the lungs and basically causing hemorrhaging of the lungs, then this is how we beat it. Stay with me. Red light turned to green. All right, where was I? And so this is actually, mimosine is Mimosa pudica, a compound that they use for parasite. You can look it up. Mimosine. Okay. If you don't know what this stuff is, look it up. So there's another compound. Yeah. Mimosa pudica. See that? Yeah. They're literally giving it to you. Now, we see CDC6, cell division control protein 6 homolog, is the red node for CCL2, which controls CXCL8, which is the main gene involved with adult respiratory distress syndrome. So now we're 1, 2, 3 layers back. Okay? Stay with me. What does it do? It's involved with cellular division. Okay? CDK. Stay with me here, folks. So when we scroll down, even in these phenotypes, it talks about respiratory distress or respiratory failure in these phenotypes. I've already looked it up. So absolutely it's connected. Proof. In the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, so that things shall be established. Okay? Did they list a compound? No. Red light turned to green, which is precisely what we did. Right? So CDC6 is the red node for CDC6. You see that? Red light. Buck stops there. Turn to green. CCNB1. CCNB1. Please just stay with me. I'm about to show you something that's going to rock your world. Yeah. oocyte meiosis, and P53. So it's cellular division involved with the DNA damage response system. P53 is the #1 gene with cancer. This is how viruses are connected to cancer, right? This one in particular is adrenal carcinoma and retinoblastoma. Besides the point, that's later. That's what happens later in life. Okay, cellular division. When the sperm hits the egg, the cell begins to divide. 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8, right? The viruses are attaching themselves all along the way during that cellular division. They say that the holy grail of science is figuring out the immune system, inflammatory response, and cellular division, and figuring out how to modulate those processes is the holy grail of science. That's what they say. I can show you the article. And so we come down here, right? ATM pathway, ATM, ATR inhibitors that we can employ, literally. But what are they giving us? Watch this. So microtubule inhibitor, I'm going to just give that to you. That's resveratrol and vinpocetine are the only 2 compounds I've been able to find for a microtubule inhibitor, right? And so then I looked up basically CDK inhibitor. Oh, how did I find this? Watch this. This is where it gets weird. Oh, yeah, I wanted to know what that drug was, because if they're listing a drug, I want to know the mechanism of action, right? If I can figure out the mechanism of action for the drug, I can figure out what the alternative is. So when I typed that in, it didn't give me anything. So I cross-referenced it with Wikipedia, because that's where I want to look. And what does it give me? CDK inhibitor. Yeah. On clinical trials. And I was interested in C also, because a lot of times that's where they'll put the nuggets, guys. C also, single independent kinase and medical significance. Right? You can read past all this, mediate inflammation, neutrophils, again, mentioned. So that's 3 times now that neutrophils are listed. Right? So then we might search for a neutrophil elastase inhibitor. Right? And PEDF signaling, as I've told you, is heavily involved with glucocorticoid signaling, which sits right in the smack dab in the middle of the innate inflammatory response. Okay, stay with me here. So I was interested in these drugs that they listed. So I clicked on pyrimidines, because I know that you can find a natural compound for that. Literally the building blocks of our DNA, right? Nucleic acid, 3 types. Cytosine, thymine, uracil. These are literally the building blocks of our entire genetic code, okay? Pyrimidine. So then I was looking through here, we see B1, so that's really important. Occurrence in history, physical properties. This is all great stuff, right? Chemical properties of it, synthesis of it, reactions, all this stuff, theoretical aspects. And so I am interested in this word right here, because I've come across it before. Aryl hydrocarbons. This is what it's called. And aryl hydrocarbons is literally how your body receives signals from space-time vacuum. Okay. So in March, NASA reported for the first time complex DNA and RNA organic matters of life, including uracil, cytosine, and thymine, have been formed in the laboratory under outer space conditions, using starting chemicals such as pyrimidine, found on meteorites. Stay with me here. Stuff gets weird. Pyrimidine, like polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, are the most carbon-rich chemical found in the universe. May have been formed in red giants or interstellar dust and gas clouds. So pyrimidines are like polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Okay. And so I'm reading through this material because it fascinates me. New stars, new planets, Big Bang Theory. This is literally the stuff, guys, that life is made of. Yeah. They're also produced by thermal decomposition of organic matter. That's the key right here. Decomposition of organic matter. Where can we find compounds in nature that we can take that are a result from decomposition of organic matter? Okay. How about shilajit? Maybe one of them. Fulvic humic acid. These are compounds that are a result of 50,000 plus years of breakdown of organic matter. PHAs are abundant in the universe and have recently been found to form possibly early in the first couple billion years after the Big Bang and associated with the formation of new stars and exoplanets. These are what form planets. Apparently, right? Earliest forms of life required for the earliest forms of life. Okay. And so I'm reading through this stuff and I'm like, wow, that's so freaking cool. Literally how life was created and how these planets were created and all this stuff. And I'm just like blown away. And I found that through looking at adult respiratory distress syndrome. I just showed you how I did it. They're listing CDK inhibitors. So one of them is a pyrimidine. What is a pyrimidine? Connected to these PAH compounds, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Right? So it's also a result of pollution as well, right? Coal mining, dust, all these things are involved as well. Okay. And urban soil, peatlands. Okay, peatlands. For those of you who are taking black oxygen organics or new water, good on ya. This is literally the stuff that life is made of. Volcanic eruptions, human health. So it talks about the negative aspect of it as well. Obviously, if you're inhaling, all this crap from all these combustion processes, that's no bueno. Right? Historical, carcinogenic, all this stuff, cardiovascular developmental impacts, regulation and oversight, origins of life. Okay. pH may be abundant in the universe. They seem to have formed a couple billion years after the Big Bang and are associated with new stars and exoplanets. More than 20% of the carbon in the universe may be associated with PAH. Starting material, pH are considered possible starting material for the earliest forms of life. How did we get here? How did we get here? Light emitted from the red rectangle nebula found in spectral signatures suggesting the presence of, it goes on, vital in the formation of early life on Earth and can only originate in a nebula. More recently, fullerenes, buckyballs, triskelions, clathrin-mediated endocytosis and exocytosis forms the triskelion, which creates the lattices that form the C60 molecule. C60 molecule is also found in what? fulvic and humic acid. She legit. Are you staying with me? Oh, how did I get to the, so earliest forms of life. Boy, I clicked on something here, you guys. Oh, what did I click on? Hold on here. Let me find it. We talked about a planet. Hold on here. Okay, I had to find that for a second. Let me just scroll back down here to show you origins of life, because it goes on and talks about how NASA scientists, blah, 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 subject to intermediate conditions are transported through hydrogenation, oxygenation, and hydroxylation to more complex organics, quote unquote, a step along the path toward amino acids and nucleotides, the raw materials of proteins and DNA, respectively. A step along the raw materials of DNA and proteins. Raw material for us to literally be here. Okay. So they also found these compounds on the Saturn's moon Titan. That planet Titan is heavily connected to ancient mythologies. There's an actual gene called Titan as well. In fact, it's the largest gene in our entire genome. That's why they call it Titan. Stay with me. So I was scrolling through here, and in galaxies, right? Spiral galaxy has been found to have high amounts of this. So in my mind, I want to know what this galaxy is. NGC 5529. Okay, approximately 144 million light years away. I'm thinking 144, me knowing the Bible like I do, 144,000. The elect. Like, wow, that's cool. I don't know, maybe there's something there, maybe there's not. That's beside the point. Okay. So I basically clicked on this link here. 100 miles away. Spiral galaxy. That's literally a triskelion. That's the spin. Okay. The Buckminster fullerene, triskelion, C60 molecule. Okay. What controls clathrin or the triskelion? Mannose. Okay. Sorry, I had to backtrack in my mind real quick. So this constellation's in the Boots. All right, so I clicked on that. I'm just following the trail here. Just following the lead. Boots literally means ox driver or herdsman or plowman. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. It's one of 48 constellations described in the 2nd century astronomer. 88 minor constellations. Okay, that's all great. Making a total of 29 stars easily visible to the naked eye. That's cool. History and mythology. Okay. I got here from pyrimidines, which they listed as one of the drugs for a CDK inhibitor. That's how I got here. I just followed pyrimidine. I know pyrimidine is the building block of RNA and DNA. In ancient Babylon, the stars of Boots were known as Shu Shupa. They were apparently depicted as the god Enlil, who was the leader of the Babylonian pantheon and the special patron of farmers. What? The name Boots was first used in Homer and his Odyssey in the celestial reference to the point for navigation, described as late setting or slow descent, translated plowman. Exactly whom Boots is supposed to represent in Greek mythology is not clear. According to one version, he was the son of Demeter, Philemus. Okay, all this stuff is great. But I wanted to show you how I have repeatedly done this process through DNA diligence, and every time it leads me back to Enki and Enlil. Every single time. So, hypoxia-inducible factor, the regulation of oxygen, okay, in the lungs is vital for survival against this coronavirus. And because we've done our DNA diligence and we plugged that SLC 283, we found out that it's basically these compounds regulate oxygen in the lungs as well, which is absolutely freaking huge. Okay, I'm just gonna leave you at that. I hope you guys have a good day. This is stuff I do every day. Track them and whack them, baby. DNA diligence.